recording.
So, yeah, okay. So, Rachel, it's Saturday. You and I
It is.
are back in the recording studios, right? My
Yeah.
closet, your bedroom, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. We're in our sweat gear, you
It's
know.
true. See, I should put my hoodie up.
Yeah, me
I'm
too.
ready. I'm ready.
Look
Look
how
like
big
Rocky. Oh my God, I know. Mine's like really big too.
um, but we're on recording because we're sort of quarantined with the coronavirus, right?
Yes.
It's spreading fast. This is the Saturday the 14th, and I know my week kind of blew up. I'm curious what's going on with you. We have not talked.
Yes.
We've been, slacking each other, but we haven't, talked. So, you want to go first? What's been going on? Let's say for the last week for you since the last time we chatted.
Well, I have to say it's like really escalated the last 48 hours. So it's like apocalyptic over here in LA. People are going crazy. I went to the grocery store yesterday and it was like, it felt like a war zone. People were literally running to get things. There was nothing on the shelves. There was hardly any food. I left with like a box of arugula, which thank God, like no one likes arugula but me. I had a box of arugula and like a cucumber that looked like it was about to like go bad. And so it's just been really crazy. And then like my sessions have all been like canceling. My like clients have been canceling for like weeks. They're like,
Hmm.
we'll see you in April.
Hmm.
And so that's been a challenge. Some of my clients are still interested in, potentially doing telepractice and all these things, but it's been, it's been a crazy 48 hours for sure.
Have you found yourself with more time then? I mean, is it,
No, it doesn't feel like it yet, but I have a feeling
mhm,
I will have more time. Like now it
uh-huh,
just feels like I'm trying to figure out everything with scheduling. I had to send like notice to all my employees about what we're doing, the protocols that are changing. I had to send things to all my clients, like here's what's happening, here's what we're doing to stay safe.
mhm.
Here's what we're doing about our cancellation policy, like all these things that are just like, they just take time.
Yeah, 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 right, right. But once you've done it, then it's done, right? And
Yes.
and then you said telepractice. Now you already do telepractice, right? I mean, I understood
Yeah.
that this is not new to you
Yes.
necessarily, right?
Yes.
Um, so, but there's some of the clients that you work with have not done telepractice, so it may be new to them. Is that the?
Yes. So some of my kiddos are really it just kind of depends. They're kind of all over the range of ages and targets that we're working on. Um, but yeah, I'm like I literally just before we hopped on this call was sending my business manager Lauren a list of all of the clients who I think would probably be good candidates for telepractice, um, so that she can reach out to them and see if they're interested and see if they're interested in converting their, scheduled session to a telepractice session just to try to mitigate any type of
Mhm.
exposure and risk.
And to keep the learning going, right? Keep the
Yes.
what they've been working on, they could maintain
Hmm.
and see you and stay kind of in the groove. Would you say?
Yeah. Well, that's the biggest thing is like, you don't want kids to lose skills. Right. And
Mm,
a lot of my kids, they're the ESYers, right? They're the kids who need services to not regress. And
mhm.
so I really have been thinking about how can I make sure that everybody is staying on target and continuing to move the ball forward, even though it feels like it's a crazy hectic time.
Well, and really, that's one of the reasons you and I jumped down today, foreshadowing what we'll talk here in a second. But let me fill you in on or let me ask you this question first before I tell you my story is, what about you personally? Have you been around groups of people? Have you been pretty,
No, I
done
mean,
the social distancing thing,
I've been staying in my sweatpants on my couch. So,
Mhm.
and I've been totally cool with that.
Yeah, I bet. I bet.
I'm like, oh, I don't have to go to the party this weekend. Great. I'm cool.
Yeah, yeah. Well, so when I think President Trump came out on a Wednesday night, that's when he came out on and did I watched it on YouTube or whatever. Um, I think calling it that's when it was released as a pandemic
Hmm.
and all of these protocols that we're considering. Our school district was the first school district in our neck of the woods to cancel, and we had canceled for an entire week. And we started making contingency plans, and that sort of led the way for other schools, which then eventually followed. And the governor here in Virginia shut schools down till the March 27th. But for me, I had already taken that Thursday and Friday off. It's currently the Saturday, right? Afterwards. And because Thursday I was doing a presentation at the Speech Language Hearing Association of Virginia. Their state conference. How ASHA has all their state conferences. This is the
Yes.
state conference for Virginia, and I was presenting with my supervisor, and we were going to talk about our whole. I've hinted at it before, but I haven't really said the entire thing on the podcast about how we're doing this language learning initiative, and I was going to have her on, and we just can't find a time to record, but we will at some point. Anyway, we were presenting on that, right? And I texted her that morning, and I was like, I cannot believe the conference is still on. Like they are telling everyone to cancel conferences, cancel large meetings, and this conference is not canceled. I'm feeling like maybe we should cancel. And she's like, well, I'm here, and maybe we just present and kind of stay away from everybody. It's like, yeah, it's still.
We can present, but you can't come up and ask me a question after. You have to stay at least 6 feet away.
Well, that's just it, and everyone does, everyone does come up. And in fact,
Yeah.
so I went in, really hesitantly, went in because the conference was still on, did the presentation with her, and in fact met two listeners of the podcast, one person who is a Patreon member. She came up
Oh,
and she was saying hi, and so it was great, and we chatted afterwards, and it was really good. And one of them was someone who was sitting at a table, like I was coming over and kind of getting my bag ready and kind of organizing things, and she was sitting at a table far away, but I caught eyes, and I'm like, you must be a listener, right? And she came over to me. I mean, I didn't say anything to her, but she came over and she's like, are you Chris from Talking with Tech? I love your podcast. And I was like, yeah, I am. So that was great. And then she came to the session and had such awesome questions. So it was really great dialogue, and I'm so glad we went. But the whole time you could feel like this feeling in the room, like, let's not get too close,
right.
And then Friday was I was supposed to do a short course, which means I was going to be like a featured presenter all day long there. And they did cancel the entire conference. So the conference was supposed to be 3 days. They canceled Friday and Saturday, and so I didn't get to do that. But I did go into work on Friday, and that's where we did all these contingency plans for and really plotted out what we want to do in the future. And we were really thinking about what I think what we're going to talk about here in a second is how to help families that are home. The words we're using are continuity of education. Like, how do we keep the education going?
Right.
And the way I've been thinking of it is, it's funny you say the extended school year. That's the analogy I've been using, is like, this is sort of like a summer break that we have coming up, where there isn't any sort of new instruction. At least right now, we're not thinking new instruction. It's maintain.
Right.
So how do we maintain, and how do we do that when we can't be face to face? So some of the things that we've been brainstorming is, sort of like you prepare at the end of a school year. Here's a bunch of resources, parents, do this over the summer. Well, here's a bunch of resources, parents, do this while you're, again, either self-quarantined, or if a quarantine's coming, a more mandated from the government. Here's how you can do that. And then Mei Ling reached out because I think all three of us were psychically linked, having worked together for so
Of
long.
course.
Because I got the feeling that you were having the same thought that I was, which was, but we should do something. We should do something to help families that are home, on a larger scale. Certainly, we are not the only ones to think of that. There are definitely stuff happening out on Twitter in my circles. I'm sure you're seeing stuff on Facebook and Instagram of people putting resources together. So we decided we were going to put one together, a very inexpensive, keep the lights on sort of thing, is why we would, just pay for costs, but do like a webinar to talk about what people could do at home.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the key here is like helping support families, and helping give ideas too to clinicians who are not at home but want to continue, to help serve their students, right?
Mhm.
A lot of my circle, I have a lot of friends who have private practices here in Los Angeles, and we've all been frantically like messaging each other. Are you staying open? Like, are you seeing kids? What are you doing as far as telepractice? What platforms are you using? Is this like working for you? Like, are parents like, into this? Like, we've all been like chatting to figure out like what a good solution is.
Hmm.
And yeah, I think that we can kind of all crowdsource and figure out, some ideas to help support, especially our kids who are using AAC, and continue that practice at home, because it's possible, right? Like, language is everywhere and all day long, so we just need to kind of inspire everyone to keep the ball rolling.
Hmm. So that's what we're putting together is like an hour-long webinar. That's why we're here together on a Saturday. Typically we don't record on Saturdays.
Mhm.
We're with our friends and family, but we're putting it together so that maybe Monday. I think that's what we're shooting for. Monday afternoon or night, we'll hop on and we'll do this webinar to give people those sorts of resources and strategies so that they have something. Because if there's something we've learned over the years of doing this, right, is that people need help, and so we'll help them.
Exactly. So, Chris, where can people sign up for the webinar? Do we know yet?
Yeah, I don't think there's like an active link yet. I think the exceptional ed team is working on that. I think they're
Mhm.
putting together the link and the art. I know that we're probably going to use Google Slides for our presentation, right? I made a little draft one that I think we can work off of to start with. That's what we've
Mhm.
traditionally used when we've done these webinars. But I think the way people could stay abreast of it is, of course, one, through our Facebook group, we will put information out there. Two is by checking the Exceptional Ed website. That's as soon as it goes live and the registration goes live, you can be there.
Mhm.
You'll see it there. I think there's a newsletter that you can sign up with for Exceptional Ed,
Mhm.
so that you can get an email message when it does come live. But I think those are the three best ways. Of course, following us on our social media, we'll put out that information as soon as we have it as well.
Mhm. Yeah, maybe we should make a Bitly link or something like that, so that we can figure out a direct source. And then
Yes.
after the fact, because I feel like this is something that of course could be helpful if you're able to attend live, but also I feel like it's just a really probably a great resource for a lot of families and clinicians.
Yeah. So the way that has worked with exceptional ed in the past is in our past webinars is that it's been sort of tricky because I think they've done it through tags or something like that to
Hmm.
have a direct link to the registration. But I could be
Yes.
wrong. Maybe that
No,
has
you're
been
right. You're
different.
right. That's an issue.
Yeah, I think
I
you go to
recall.
the yeah. So you go to the main page and then you got to click on something that doesn't necessarily lend itself to having a Bitly. I think and again, uh, I could be wrong. That could have been rectified since the last time we've done it. So,
Mhm.
but yes, as soon as we have something, you know, then let's put a bit link out for everybody to click on and go right there. Um, Sound
Awesome.
good? Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Well, I hope you guys join us if you're listening to this or watching this video. We would love to have you, and yeah, stay tuned. Right.
yeah. Stay tuned. All right, let's get to work. Let's get working on this slide deck and this presentation.
Let's do this thing.